Hey, what's happening, all you beautiful people? Welcome back. We got an episode of Strange Happenings. We're the Strange Road. I'm Mikey. This is the bro host with the mo host, Bub Ranley. Bub, how you doing tonight, buddy?
What's happening?
Doing great, man.
Yeah.
It's been a weird last 7 days.
Yeah, it's a really sunny, hot day out today, too. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oddly
Beautiful
enough.
hot.
Yeah, super weird. We also have Stoner, the loner, in Master Control tonight.
Rocket.
Helping us out with this robust show. I don't think we've ever done a show quite like this before, especially on a Strange Happenings. But we also got Rolo in studio with us. We'll see how antsy he gets. He's already tried to hop on Bub's lap.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully
He's all about
Rolo behaves tonight and isn't trying to chase us out. What's happening to all you guys in the chat? We appreciate you. All of our friends from Mercer and Darke County that maybe have never heard of the Strange Road or ever tuned into our streams or hey, welcome everybody. I see Homegrown Tone Alerts in there. What's happening, man? We got Michael. All you guys, appreciate you listening. Write those reviews, share the episodes. If you guys dig what we're doing, we appreciate you so very much. Make sure you hit like, subscribe. You got to hit that notification bell. Then you can get all the updates when we go live and for all the premieres. There are super chats and super stickers active right now, and great way to support the show. So we, like I said, had a really strange week last week. We started getting information from people back home where we grew up, Mercer County. The largest city in Mercer County is Salina, Ohio. And we started getting Papa Stoner's dad hit me up in Facebook. Stoner sent me some screenshots of Homegrown Tone's Facebook page and reports of large drones being seen in the area. So I went on these Facebook groups, started looking at some of the reports, and then I reached out to some friends from the area that we grew up with. And one of our buddies turned me on to another Facebook group, Report UAP Drone Activities, Mercer County and Darke County, Ohio. So that's where I started seeing a lot of photos, videos. It's a great place where that was a group that was created, I believe it was Monday night. And it was just a great spot for everybody to kind of start dropping photos and videos. And then I called a bunch of other friends, say, hey, I don't know what's going on. There's something weird going on. There's a lot of people talking about it. I've seen it myself, or I haven't seen it myself. And then, Bub, you said you saw some post on X about it.
I mean, yeah, it's just from Mercer County itself. Yeah, just people I follow on X are saying it. And then I think the next day you were saying the same thing like you're saying. I'd seen it the night before, but again, it's like, who knows with our hometown if we're having real stuff like that. I mean, I guess it could happen, but then, with like the farming aspect for sure, like, again, back to Justin from Cryptids of the Corn, like with, nitrogen. And
you said that. That was interesting.
Again, I'm not trying to draw too many lines there of conclusion because I don't know Jack Spratt. I mean, I know Bo Diddley, as I've said before, so...
well, it's the plot of Tremors 2. What other movies?
Tremors 2? What do you mean?
Where the creatures eat fertilizer.
You always say it. I've never seen... Maybe I've never seen Tremors 2.
Well, there's 7 Tremors.
This is why,
movies.
Then. I mean, sweet Jesus. Good grief.
But there's another movie. Was it Nope? I believe it was Nope.
Nope.
They come down and they take farmers' fertilizer.
No, they're eating animals. They're eating like cows. He's like feeding it cows and ugly. Drones confirmed.
Absolutely. Well, let's hop into this.
Dang.
One thing that I wanted to do was after talking to so many people, I said, I talked to my wife. I said, I think I need to go back home.
My mom saw a drone.
That's wild.
Somebody called her or told her or texted her and said, hey, if you want to see a drone, there's one at our house right now.
and she just stepped out her front door?
No, like, I don't know where she was at. She, like, drove somewhere or, like... I was like, are you serious right now? And this is the kind of part that annoys... I'm not trying to be a drama queen about this, but it's annoying because I want to see this. Yeah. I said this about a bear, too, and maybe I was wrong because I've seen a bear in real life, and that sucked.
Yeah, and you don't want to see that.
It wasn't cool. But yeah, everybody else now is seeing all this kind of crazy stuff. And again, like I was trying to explain it to a friend yesterday, and I don't think he's kept up with any of this, or maybe he has, but I was trying to express how like you can't say orb.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say orb and whatever.
Orb.
Yeah.
How about that?
So you're not allowed to say it. And he looked at me and I was like, so you don't know what I'm talking about. Because there's layers to it. There's orbs, there's drones, there's whose drones are those, whose drones are ours, whose
mixture.
orbs are those, what are these plasma balls? It's not just broad brushing it, with one stroke of a color of
No.
It's all this, it's all that. Like, yeah, like what did they say? What's his head? Bledsoe's son said you have to say, like, I think they call them like Dior handbags or something, like the code word they use to say it. It's like, what the? And by the way,
you'll get
his
strikes on
podcast
YouTube.
just came out that was supposedly restricted with what's his head, Sean Ryan, but that just came out today.
I listened to it.
Yeah.
Chris Bledsoe's.
If you guys haven't listened to that one, you should check that one out directly after this because that was pretty fantastic. He got really worked up at the end.
Oh, he was in tears.
Yeah.
Because how emotionally
It was wild.
coming in contact with these things.
Yeah.
And he talks about beings. He talks about the craft, having open lines of communicate. He can call
goes
them
pretty
in.
deep, yeah.
But the CIA, the DOJ, every three-letter agency has all studied Chris Bledsoe. They've all over the years.
He's a walking study himself. Yeah. Yeah.
Weird dude.
It's like that movie, what's it called? Flight of the Navigator, but instead of like locking the kid up and studying him, they're just studying him in his natural habitat. But they're like, hey, we're going to be around.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Again, they're real buddy with him, which, hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Better than sticking you in some building and, prodding, probing you and torturing you, what have you. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, I'm sure they're really nice to you. I mean, they want to know what you know because he's basically said, like, they can't get the contact and interaction that he can. And when I say they, like NASA and all these, like, National Reconnaissance Office and a lot of acronymal agencies that most people don't even know about. Like the National Reconnaissance Office. It's like, what is that? It's like it's giant satellites up in space.
That's who Grush used to work for before the UAP task force.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on above us all the time. And again, this is just like kind of like Nope in the movie Don't Look Up at the same time. Mm-hmm. And this is what I've been saying, and God help me if somebody goes out and invents this, just give me a cut of it. Put the Ring cameras on top of the buildings of houses. Let's all get 360 cameras that just look up forever. And then you can just record it. We could just all tie it into a network.
There you go.
And we could eternally look at the sky, just like we have Google Earth looking down. Why don't we have a real Google sky looking up?
That's what they have at Skinwalker Ranch.
I know this, but we could do it right now. Instead, we're just filming people stealing UPS packages and hitting themselves in the groin with a ladder.
Slipping on ice and cracking their head open.
Yeah, well, that too. There's a lot that's happening out there. So, but yeah, it's just what's going on up there all the time. Mm-hmm. There's a lot happening. And I think it's just maybe this kind of stuff happens more than we know it.
I think it does, but I think
it's more present though now.
The New Jersey drones phenomenon, obviously that happened mid-November to really right after Christmas. It was still kind of happening.
It's been going on since November.
We did a Strange Happenings months ago where we talked about it, where nobody really knew what was going on at that point. And then we did another Strange Happenings where it was focused on the New Jersey drones.
Somebody seen them themselves, they said, in Mercer County.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're all over the place back home. That's what's so crazy.
Hello from Miami County. Welcome, everybody coming in. We appreciate you guys. If you aren't familiar with us, everybody just joining us. I'm Mikey. This is Bub.
Thanks for jumping in.
Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. You guys are great. But to get back to sort of my story, to try to tell this story, to try to get some information, I went back on what would have been Tuesday. Didn't make it back. I had family stuff going on, and then I drove to Wapak to pick up Lilcomb, my nephew. Thought he'd be a great hand to help me out. Brought a bunch of camera gear, brought the phone gimbal, brought the drone, and just thought, hey, I'll bring whatever I can to try to capture this. As I'm on my way into Wapak, I see this stationary light, really large, up in the sky. And I'm falling into Wapak, and it's not moving. It's not flying towards me. It's not flying away from me, which I thought was really odd. So by the time I got to Lilcomb's girl's house, he came up to the car. I said, hey, go check this out. What the heck's this thing? We look up in the sky, and there it is. It's still there. So we get in the car, And I said, let's go chase after this thing and figure out what it is. So as we're driving out of Wapak, we're coming into St. Mary's, and we'll look at this footage that I captured later. But I had to hurry up and get out because it was dropping down into the horizon. I thought we were going to lose it. So we ended up hopping out of the car in a Marathon gas station in St. Mary's, popped up the sticks on a crappy tripod, unfortunately. I wasn't quite set up like I was the next night. And we'll take a look at some of that footage. But this was very, very weird. Whatever this light was, I don't know if it was a drone, plasma orb. I'm not going to speculate on what it is. I know it was not a star.
I think Mick West would say it's a flare. Sorry, I was watching a Mick West debate before this, and it was getting interesting. But
yeah.
I mean, again, it's tough because everybody, again, somebody in the chat even said it. They want to hear something different, and I get it because right now it's still like grabbing at straws. Nobody really knows. People have seen even the videos and stuff that I've seen. Yeah, it's weird looking. I don't really know what it is. I don't know if it's ours. I don't know if it's a UFO. I don't know if it's an alien craft, an NHI biological. What? I don't know. UAP.
Could be a mixture of all of it.
This is the whole thing, though. It's like we're all so turned around and nobody knows. And again, before there was even a confirmation that there were any drones, it was basically like, those are UFOs or they're a foreign adversary drone. And either one is not a good palatable thought. Like, we don't want either to be happening. And if they're like, oh, no, it's fine. No, it's not fine. They're flying over like civilian airspace. They're flying over military airspace.
Poultry farms.
Or they're flying over that. But also, you've got planes coming out of the air now.
Yeah, wow.
Planes crashing midair, planes falling out of the air.
That happened last week, too.
Two or three. There was like multiple. I was like, am I just not noticing this? Does this always happen? And then I was like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think this is often. Like, it's weird. It's strange.
Yeah, boy, is it ever.
And again, if you listen to Bledsoe stuff and how this, I think it ties into it in some way. Maybe if there's any, again, because nobody really knows, and if they do know, they're not telling us.
Bledsoe called out years ago, I guess, that there would be a massive display up in the sky and to be on the lookout for all of a sudden one day it's just all this stuff is going to blow up and happen in the sky.
He basically said in that interview today the date.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. And he goes, I've never said that in 13 years.
And then it goes to the New Jersey drone phenomenon, like right on point.
Yeah, and it's not wild. A far off date. Yeah. And then he said something about, what was it, Hal Pavmir and the CIA and the remote viewing, and they've been looking at that date now to try to front run the future and see what's going on at that time.
Of course,
kind of like Dr. Manhattan and Watchmen.
Yep.
How you can look ahead in time. I guess his own path, though, not everybody's.
And I will say too, on the way to Mercer County, before I picked up Lilcomb, I gave our friend David Lonebear a buzz just to kind of get some perspective, since we had him on the last Strange Happenings, to try to fill in the blanks of what these things could be. He's been researching this stuff for a very long time, and he recommended to get some different filtered lenses,
makes sense,
circular polarized lenses, and then also to outfit the camera with a green laser.
You know what people do when they go fishing and it's sunny out? They wear certain types of lenses that are polarized so they can see through the glare of the water. Like, right. I'm not saying that's what the UFOs are doing, but just in a analogy,
But he told me,
might need to look at them in a different way.
He said, with your camera equipment, you may not be able to see these things through your viewfinder. Right. You might, and boy, was he accurate.
Yeah.
Without that laser, I wish we would have went and had something. I just wasn't prepared next time. So all you out there, make sure you give us a buzz.
It happens.
And hit up the Strange Road if all this starts happening again in Darke and Mercer County.
Yeah. I would love to see somebody get a clear picture, get a telephoto lens. Like, I know it's not easy, but, stranger things have happened. And also, what's the thing? If you get them in sight, they'll they've been known to blink out. They'll move,
That's one of the videos I have.
It's kind of like trying to nail jelly to the wall or pin the tail on the donkey type phenomena. So,
but I was shocked that I couldn't really get these things in the viewfinder. It was just difficult. We'll get into all that. And,
go ahead.
I do want to intro our guest. We actually have a live guest coming in. And our guest tonight is Michael from Homegrown Tone Alerts. And I'll let him kind of get into his Facebook group. But he was one of the people that was really on the ground reporting through scanners, sheriff department, and different local agencies. As these reports were coming in, they were able to log these in his Facebook group. And unbelievable. So I was on there looking at these reports, gave him a buzz and said, hey, man, we'd love to have you on the show. I want to bring in Michael from Homegrown Tone Alerts. And we really appreciate him coming on and appreciate his time. Michael, what's happening, man?
Hi, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Real good,
excellent.
brother. Real
Excellent.
good. Michael, if you could just hop right in and just give us a little bit of background about the work you do with scanners and how that kind of integrates into the Facebook group, and then give us a little bit of kind of the on-the-ground experience, and we'll hop right into these reports.
Sure. So it started back in 2020. It was kind of the same deal everybody had, got sent home from the office because of COVID. So I was working from home, had extra time on my hands. And being that I was into scanners when I was a teenager, younger, I thought, hey, let's get back into this. And so how does one go about that? Then I found out they're all digital now. They're fairly expensive to buy digital scanners. Then through research, I found that somebody had repurposed the old DVT dongles for the computer that you used to be able to just kind of plug a coax into and receive TV on your computer. They re-engineered the firmware to receive radio signals. And so I started putting that all together, realized I could pick up the scanner, pretty much like a lot of stuff through that. And then from there, I was like, okay, now I remember somebody used to do this in our area where they would automate the posting, but they were doing it to Twitter. And I'm like, okay, so there's got to be a way to do this. So just ingested everything into a PC, found the software that detects the EMS and fire tones, assigns them to a department. When it goes off, it starts a recording. Once that recording's done, it uploads it to an FTP. It sends an email to a relay service with the link to the audio, and then that gets posted to the Facebook page. Wow. And that's pretty much how it works. I mean, we do a 24/7 YouTube live stream, which is just, using OBS, but that's just a stream of the screen that's kind of running the whole show. And then we later on, maybe just a year ago, we got the app going where you can just download the app on your phone and basically just use it like a digital scanner. We provide audio from probably more than 5, but for sure 5 counties worth of departments, police, fire, EMS, everything, ODNR, the lot. So wow. That's kind of how that all came together. And yeah, it just started back in 2020 and has kind of been going ever since.
Wow, man. I was looking at your Facebook group. I'm like, I don't know how he's doing this. How are you getting live scans into this Facebook group? That's really, really cool. So
I'd say I listen to the scanner all the time on my app.
Yeah.
Because we have, unfortunately, police cars that go flying around our neighborhood time to time. And my wife and I will sit there and be like, is this happening? How close is this getting? You'll know what road they're driving down, where they're chasing somebody in a car. You're like, hold on now.
Well, after your carburetor's been taken so many times.
Catalytic converter.
Catalytic converter.
Hey, man, they were just trying to make her CRV sound cool. Man.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
But yeah, the what you were making me think of though was almost like the last Batman film or was this the second one? Second one where they were taking the technology of just the echolocation of all of our cell phones, which they probably do anyways. Like you can do this in your house with your Wi-Fi signal, right? Like it can tell when my dog's walking around off the Wi-Fi band in the house because it puts out a low enough radio frequency to pick up movement, right?
Yeah.
You can opt into that or out, but
yeah,
how much stuff like that's happening. But again, just triangulating where these things are happening. I heard you say something about even like the ambulance or like the sirens, where they're at and like where that is in relation to what, you can really pinpoint it down pretty quickly, right? Like it's almost like a spiderweb network where you get back to the source really fast.
Well, they will just say where they're going. It's just all dependent on the departments when they page out. They always put out two tones. It's an A and B tone. It has a specific hertz value. So you just log that hertz value, tell the software, listen for it's listening all the time. So you listen for this specific combo, and then you assign it to that department, and then that just kicks everything off. Boom, it's recording, it's prepping the email, it sends the email, post it right to the Facebook group. Done. That's and
awesome.
done.
Man, that's so
awesome.
rad. So, Michael, let's hop into when this really started, when it got on your radar. It seems like Sunday night, is when a lot of the activity started in Darke and Mercer County. Can you give us a little bit about when people started hitting you up, or you started noticing these reports hitting your Facebook group, and what were some of those reports as the 3 days unfolded?
So Sunday night, it began. Me and my associate, who helps me in the, he does the background stuff. He's not one for the camera or the radio or anything, but he hangs out in the background. But we were just listening, like we do in the evenings, and we first heard the sheriff dispatch come across and say, we've got reported drones over a location, a farm. Can you go check this out? And so a little bit, and we're, instantly we're messaging each other like, hey, did you hear that? Because we kind of thought like, what is the, somebody's reporting a drone or whatever, well, then the units get out there and they're like, they're basically like, we see a lot. And we're like, what? So we make the post, manual post on Homegrown. And then that's when the flood began. People were like, yeah, I see them, and then we had the units on the scanner saying they see dozens here, groups of 5, groups of 10, up to 20, and then also it's different locations. So they're running around. There was only 2 units assigned to road patrol in that area, because it started based around Fort Recovery, Darke County state line, down there in the southwest part of the county. And it was just continuous for about 2 hours. And then after that 2 hours went by, it stopped. So we started deducing, okay, I think this is probably whatever it is, whoever it is. Number one, we knew that no one local has that many assets to put in the air at the same time,
right? Or
the command and control capacity to operate them all at the same time. So that
was going to be my question.
That kind of threw.
Does anybody know where they went, or where, like when you say it ended?
There's theories.
Well, I'm just saying, this is my question, because if it's man-made, we think of like, it's got to have a power source, it's got to have a timeline of how long it can stay up there depending on size and weight and yada yada. So you start calculating that, like how far away did it fly, if it had to get picked up, or if it had to go somewhere, or that's what I'm wondering. Like, was it the next state over? It's like, now they're, it's like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? Like now they're flying over our county, like, and it's just like ping ponging around. Like, is that what happened, or they just blink out and they're gone?
It just seemed like at the end of, and this was every single one of the nights for the next 3 nights, it was right about 2 hours. You could set your watch by it. The sun went down, the reports would start, a couple hours would go by, and then that was it. The show was over.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's, Tuesday, like I said, we got in the area about 8 p.m. It was a little late, but I didn't expect to see anything. We saw tons of stuff. When we chased that thing, as soon as we lost it down the horizon, we ended up about Erastus Durbin Road and way outside of Salina. And then it's like we lost it. So then I look up and I see 2 more. Boom, boom, boom. So we get out, pop up. This thing was moving. By the time I got the sticks up to film, and then nephew looks over and there's 7 of them way up in elevation. So they just moved to a higher elevation on Tuesday night after 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I saw your post, and it was nothing reported for 15 minutes, and that was 7:45. But he said, it's like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, when you went home and said all this was happening, one, I knew things were happening, but again, to what degree? Or, you really dug in kind of deep and got some wild information, and I was like, what the hell's going on? And that's like, again, it's back home. Most people are like, where are you from? And you're like, don't worry, you're never going to hear about it.
Yeah.
Don't worry. And now
do you know where the big lake is up there?
Yeah. That's what I always say. Do you know where Grand Lake St. Mary's is?
No, what we need a Devil's Tower from Wyoming out there, and we need some Richard Dreyfuss curly-haired maniac.
Well, just dress you up, bub.
I'll go out there. Hey, I'm all for it. I've been waiting to see something cool my whole life, and I've never seen anything like that. So I'm still jealous that everybody. Again, maybe I'm jealous. Maybe I'd get scared. I don't know. Were people afraid? Do you know anybody that got really freaked out?
People were freaked out.
Really fearful?
Yeah.
We were on the edge of, I would say by that 3rd night, I feel like we were on the edge of a mass panic. at that point, just
Really?
because we had encountered this now, for multiple nights in a row, and there was no real statement coming out until I think it was after the second night. And the second night is when you would find the post on Homegrown where there was just a list, like, on the page like this, of just reports, and me and my associate, it was coming in so fast we couldn't edit the post fast enough.
Yeah.
And we're having on the, there was so much traffic happening on the scanner. There were so many people posting on the page. It was ding, 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 and then we're listening, and it was hard to keep up. There was just so much coming in, and that was that second night. And then the third night, we put up a post like, will this happen again? Well, it did. And then fourth night, the fourth night is when it was still going on, but at that point there was no more traffic coming over the scanner, so they weren't talking about it. After night number 1, we heard transmitted across the air that Mercer County had been contacted by the FBI.
Okay.
In reference to the drone situation. So that was broadcast over the air because the agent wanted to talk to one of the units that was working the night before. So we did hear that, and we reported that as well through the Facebook page. But yeah, people were, and obviously with the farms and the avian influenza outbreak around here, and all these drones, a lot of the drones anyway, seem to be centered around these farm locations. People were definitely, they had a lot of questions, and obviously and expectedly upset about it.
Yeah. Oh, I would. It's when you have no information, or you get, hey, it's this, and then it's that, when you really don't know what's going on, but you feel like somebody's trying to tell you what's going on, but they're not. It's just, you really feel like you're being left in the lurch almost, and that gives you more panic. You're like, because then it extends to, do they even know what's going on?
Well, he had a post from, finally, Sheriff Doug Timmerman came out with I think it was Tuesday, where he had to release a statement, which you guys posted in your group.
Oh, gotcha.
And we have a clip of that from a local news station out of Dayton, where Timmerman came on and did an interview. We'll watch that a little bit later. But the officials, there's another kind of connection of, the Congresswoman had to come out and give a statement. But Michael, you were talking about on Wednesday what happened with the transmissions and how basically communication kind of just ended.
Well, I don't think that communication ended. I just think they stopped doing it over the radio. I think if they were getting reports in and actually having units check it out, they were doing it over the phone, or they were doing it through the car messaging system. They just simply were not. That was it. So they had, I think at that point they had likely been instructed not to talk about it over the air anymore, which, to a certain degree, you have to, you guys know. So like, you're talking about Mercer, Darke, and Jay County, where it's not exactly an exciting place in that regard, and then all of a sudden we have this thing going on that a lot of these people have only seen on TV, as far as the New Jersey thing,
right?
So, and then all of a sudden it's in our skies.
Yeah, it's quiet community, and it's rural. and
then to have the sheriff's statement, it just was basically saying, don't chase these things, don't shoot at them, but no, we don't know what they are either. Well, okay, great. So. Mm-hmm. What now?
And Michael, you mentioned a tweet, an X post from the Homeland Security of Indiana. Really wild what they said, and we'll link that into the description too. By the way, guys, all of Michael Emans here, he's all of his links, YouTube channel, everything is in the description. So I know a lot of you guys from Mercer and Darke County are probably aware of this guy, but it's all linked there for you.
Yeah, so I can read this tweet, and this is from the Indiana Homeland Security official Twitter account, checkmarked, says it's a government entity, and I'll read this. Drones over bird flu affected farms risk spreading disease. Do not shoot at them. It's a felony. Avoid chasing drone operators. Instead, report sightings to local law enforcement or county EMA. And that's the tweet.
So shooting down a drone could cause bird flu exposure.
Drones, it says drones risk spreading disease. and that is from Indiana Homeland Security. They tweeted this, and here's another thing I found interesting about this tweet is, okay, so this account has got just under 30,000 followers, I believe. Yeah, and that post has 3 retweets and 1 comment and 0 likes.
Interesting.
What?
A little shadow banning.
It got a little shadow.
You know what? I was
Yeah.
about to just wonder, like, are they just going to start filming Stranger Things back home?
I said that.
Because I'm telling you right now, man.
I said that.
You know, again, my parents live close enough to the mountain that has been created in the area, the landfill. So, you know, I can see that. And I'm like,
Rumpy
man, every time I look out there, I'm like, shit, when did that mountain get there? Because I don't see it that often. And I'm like, it's shocking sometimes. I'm like, holy cow, like that's a big sizable hill.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me. You know what I mean? Like the whole, it's quiet, it's this, it's that. There's also a lot going on back there, right? Like it just rides under the surface, I feel like, right? That entire area, like it's very industrious. There's a lot going on. People are moving and shaking out there, for lack of a better way of putting it, right? Like people are very industrious out in that area.
We have industry. It's one of the few places in the Midwest that still has industry. We have the lowest. There's the lowest unemployment rates.
There's just people do shit out there.
The number one egg producer is 1 or 2.
I think Mercer County just went. I think Mercer County just got back as the lowest unemployment rate in the state. They're like at 2.7 or something.
Yeah.
Generally.
And every county around is kind of the same way.
Yeah.
All those businesses, they didn't go over to China. They didn't move to Mexico. They stayed.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of got this like undertow of like, there's a lot happening there though. As country as it is, there's still a lot happening there. You know, it's just not on the radar for most people. And again, if you tell them
this never broke national news. I mean, we have more people watching our show than we probably have. This right now, it seems to be the largest live stream we've ever done, probably by 20x. So we appreciate all you guys out there. But, it just hasn't broken. We had, and we're going to watch, some of the local, the Columbus Dispatch did an article. We'll jump into that. But it just never broke to national news. You had News Center 7 and NBC 28.
I'm not saying it's not significant, but it's happened not just in Mercer County and New Jersey, and it's happening all over the U.S. and all over the world. So
it's hard.
I don't know if they're coming. I mean, I would say that the reason that there's a lack of news is because it is news, right? Like that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, but it's a lack of coverage because it's like, and I'm going to mess up the name, and Disbro's not here to correct me, but East Palestine or Palestine, whatever. The whole train derailment was like, hey, this is a problem.
2 weeks.
And it was like, no, it's not a problem. It's like, no, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like, but you don't see, and again, I won't go down that road too much, but what I'm saying is, again, they're trying not to look at it. I think there's something going on there. Nobody really knows heads or tails, it seems like, in even authoritative positions.
Yeah.
So,
well, we've got some quotes and some interesting stories to tell here that coincides with a lot of this. But Michael, man, we appreciate the hell out of you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No problem.
Hop in the chat. I saw you in there earlier anyways, so we're going to have a good time tonight.
Have to keep getting some updates here.
We'll keep in contact, and you've got me. If anything weird starts popping up, you know who to call.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we'll hear it again over the airwaves, but of course, if we start getting flooded with reports to the page, then we'll get it back going again and just see where we go from here.
Fantastic. Michael Emans, everybody from Homegrown Tone Alerts. Thanks, Michael. Take care, brother.
You, man.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. I mean,
that's pretty cool.
We talked a little bit about what was going on. Can you log into that? We talked a little bit about with Michael before we got on air, and everything that we talked about, we shared with you guys. The X post from the Indiana Homeland Security, really, really wild. Rello, come here, buddy. Lay down.
Bed.
Yep. He thinks it's time to go already.
He wants to jump in the chair and snuggle.
All right, guys, we've got an interview that I recorded. We're going to queue up next with my new friend Chris from the Mercer County area.
Chris just moving the crowd with us.
Hey, we're live, man. This is the fun part about doing a live show. Chris started another Facebook group called Report Drone UAP Sightings, Mercer, Darke Counties, surrounding area. And we're going to go ahead and cue this interview. Braden helped me shoot this interview, and this would have been on Wednesday afternoon. So we're going to play that back. Really interesting clip here. And we'll kind of hit pause and walk through
Tell
it.
me a little bit about your background, what you've been experiencing, and what led you to starting this Facebook group.
I have a law enforcement background, and I'm also a farmer. I guess what started it was this past weekend. I was having a conversation with some farmers about the bird flu that's going around here, and one of them had mentioned about some drones that were flying around some of the livestock buildings that I had not heard about, and it just kind of piqued my curiosity, and I thought that was kind of strange, and I didn't think a whole lot about it at that time, and that was, I believe, on Saturday night. And then Sunday came, and I think it was the next morning, possibly. There was a little bit more talk about it, and then the next morning, one of my neighbors had a video when he was, I believe, outside feeding his dairy cattle, and he had a video of a drone right above him early morning. And then I'm like, kind of like, gosh, how big is this? How much is this not getting reported? How much does the public not know? And I think at that point, I'm like, maybe it'd be a good idea to start a Facebook group so people can post what they are seeing. Is this legit and what's going on? And that's kind of what started me starting a Facebook group, just to get transparency out there to let everybody kind of know what's going on.
I've been talking to a lot of buddies I grew up with and guys that are farmers. And you had mentioned the bird flu, and that really kind of piqued my interest of, well, that seems like a logical reason of, if there is that happening, maybe it's some type of surveillance operation. But the guy from Hometown Tone said last night was one of the most active nights so far. And this were basically like 3 nights in a row, would you say? This will be the 4th if it blows up again. But there were other sightings going back to December, from what I understand. You heard that as well.
Yes, talking to some of the other neighbors and stuff that were just kind of quiet about it. Like one of the neighbors specifically sitting in a hot tub with his son. They'd been seeing him for a while, and some other people. And then also, like, I've had a cousin tell me he's been seeing him at least 20 around his house at night, and he swears like up and down that there's a mist that comes out of him when he's outside.
Yeah.
I can confirm that because I've actually spoke to him about that.
Mm-hmm.
Other things I've heard is guys checking steers. They see them out. Next morning they go out and they have dead steers, and even the farmer wasn't feeling well. I can't confirm that. I didn't speak to him direct.
Let's just start off by tell me a little bit about your background.
Oh, that's okay.
What's happening and how they're doing it and stuff like that. It's just, a drone can't fly hours at a time. They don't have the speed like that. The winds we've had the last couple of nights,
Crazy.
Drones can't take that.
Crazy wind last night.
So it's very strange. I would just like to know what's going on.
Sheriff Timmerman had released a statement, and he mentioned they don't know what's going on, but they contacted the FBI. They contacted, maybe some folks over at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So that leads me to last night.
So yeah, last night, obviously a lot of people were contacting me about it and stuff, and we were actually sitting outside, and I can't confirm what it was, but I think it was what we seen. There was a huge object that went over us with lights. Nobody I was with at that time had a flight tracker on, but other guys said there was a C-17 that went through the area. A bunch of people confirmed that, and from what I know, it went through, towards this area, I think above like St. Henry, circled back around Indianapolis, came back through the Coldwater area, and then went back to Wright State. And then there was also a Black Hawk chopper that was going around here last night. And he didn't pop up on radar till he hit Sydney. So I'm assuming if he blocked the radars till then, there's not like a base around Sydney, Ohio. And also I can say last night when me and my daughter came home, the first hour of dark, out in my field, there was an object, a red light. I know you're not supposed to chase it. I did follow it down the road, and I followed it for a while, and its capabilities, the maneuvering it was doing, something I've never seen. Mm-hmm. And then it just took off like that.
And you're not the only person. As we were driving into town, people were texting me, people were calling me, hey, we've seen a Black Hawk We've seen C-17s by that name, not just a military plane, but literally used the term C-17 and Black Hawk. So this has been seen by, I don't know, hundreds of people in the area. If you could just let us know what the Facebook group is called and how people can search that.
It is actually called Report Drone UAP Sightings Mercer / Darke Counties and Surrounding Areas. And obviously it's not limited to Mercer and Darke. This is just, we would just like to know what's going on. We want a little transparency. Obviously they're seeing them in Jay County, Indiana. The sheriff and the EMA made a statement over there. Sheriff Whitaker in Darke County made the same statement basically as Sheriff Timmerman did. But, as a general citizen, and, I just have concerns, what's going on. And it's stuff we've never seen. I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. And, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I really appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much, number one, for starting the Facebook group. That's where I was getting a lot of my early information and seeing the videos. And you had someone from Mendon that was posted an amazing video and photo of what appeared to be one of these plasma orbs.
And we'll look at that
which
later.
Is what people were reporting in New Jersey. So I don't think it's just these big SUV-sized drones. I think there's other stuff going on here too. But we're here tonight. We're going to be running around shooting stuff. And I just want to thank you again.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Yep.
There you go, guys. Appreciate Chris. Chris is probably watching. Much love to the time and effort. But, we were able to, the night before we captured this interview, Chris and the fellas were out doing some coon hunting, and we met up with them after in the shop there where we shot this interview. And I got to hear their stories as well. All those guys that night all had stories to report. And it's, pretty interesting. But again, thank you, Chris. And we're going to hop into some of these photos and videos from the Facebook group. Stoner's going to get us queued up here. But, I pulled in a few, I think probably 6 or 7, and we can kind of just buzz through these. The first one's a video here in this group. But Stoner, let me know whenever you get that going. And but I mean, you wouldn't believe. There we go. You wouldn't believe how many videos and photos are in there. This one's interesting because look how low it's flying. And then there's several videos here, but yeah, that's just right above that barn, a little bit off in the distance. And then there could be one more, I think, after this. Once it plays through, it should autoplay. That's just a little bit different perspective. And then this is the next one. And there's a couple of them there in the sky, it looks like to me. But we didn't see anything this low. When Lilcomb and I were out Tuesday night and then also Wednesday night, there was nothing that visible. If I would have had that camera gear with some, like that right there was what I was hoping to come into town and capture, because when I saw this, I said, wow, we're going to be able to capture something amazing with professional gear that I'm bringing back. But by that time, that Black Hawk and that C-17, I think, chased them off.
I don't know what the hell that is.
I don't either, but
people saying it looks like a helicopter. I agree with you, but it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know how to say that better again, because I'll be honest. I see helicopters over my house all the time, every day, with spotlights on, looking for people running through my backyard. I see them up close. Actually, the one that freaked me out the other week was a helicopter with no lights on, completely blacked out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can hear it. I can't see it. Mm-hmm. And it took me a hot minute. I was like, oh, it's right there. I was like, now that kind of stuff, like you see something flying with no lights and there's a helicopter out there. That was freaky. This video. What is this?
This is another.
That's just like a stationary drone. That looks like a homeowner's drone. I mean, from my perspective, but again, I can't tell how big it is.
That's the problem. There's no.
Yeah, but you've seen all these quadcopter things that are coming around, right? Like we know the robo taxis and air taxis and all this crap's coming. It's coming. They've been out there. You've told me about companies that are doing this.
Yeah,
now,
Blade, Urban.
The ability to be up there for that long. Do we know about that? No.
Yeah.
But maybe we just don't know about it. Hey, surprise! We got this technology or energy or whatever. Something's stirring the Kool-Aid, and if we have that, it better be like
That's
put
an
it in my cell
airplane.
phone so I don't have to charge it anymore.
Airplanes have one white and one red light that blink back and forth. This is a green and orange light.
I get it. That's a drone of some sort.
Yeah.
To me, yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
like a
the true
standard
colors of a flight aircraft.
We can hit
Which
the next
I don't
one.
know
We
much
can just
about.
keep going down.
I don't
down
know
the
much
line.
about the lights. Which side, which one's on? The blue, the green, or the red, the green. I don't know what colors they have going on. I know there's supposed to be some blinking happening though.
Then I looked up, traditional. Here's two of them clustered together. When they zoom in here, they kind of come together like that. And one's blinking, the other one's got a kind of a little bit different pattern. They both seem to be blinking, but for those of you maybe listening, this is a very visual show. If you guys are listening, head over to the YouTube page. But this episode will air tonight at midnight on all the podcast platforms. And then, that's this.
If anybody is, we can't advocate for any kind of action to take against these things, but I'll say this. If you do find out anything or what these are, just drop us a line. Let us know, because I'm sure everybody wants to know. Like, this is more stationary to me. It's not moving. It's not zigzagging around. It's not eluding stuff.
A
like
lot
the
of
stuff in
them-
Jersey and stuff.
Yeah.
They were trying to get after those.
Well,
and those were hauling ass.
But the reports, that's what people were seeing.
How do we get a hold of you? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, how do they get a hold of us?
You can contact us on X, Instagram. We are our Facebook group at The Strange Road.
There we
on
go.
all
Okay.
platforms. We're on TikTok. But all of our links are down there in the description if you guys want to get a hold of us. This is that orb I was talking about.
That's
Mendon.
a plasma ball.
Yeah. And I don't know what to make of this, but this ended up in this report.
What?
UAP drones. And that's the thing. People
That's
were
not normal,
reporting to
Clark.
me more orbs.
Yeah,
not
it's not
just the
normal.
drones, but also orbs, which they were seeing in New Jersey as well. And our buddy David Lone Bear, our friend of the show, was kind of explaining, what this technology could be. Phalon technology. It's just a different type of way to generate power that's not electricity or not burning petroleum. Have we been developing these technologies for a very long time? According to the new UFO whistleblower that was on
I don't know
Jesse
what they
Michaels, not Jason Sands.
That's not an egg. That's not an egg.
No, it's not an egg. I'm just
Those are two.
on that show on
different
the
things.
Jesse Michaels episode. He was talking about how long they've been back engineering these craft.
Yeah,
and-
but those aren't that right there. Maybe some of the other drones, but that was a plasma orby
Yeah.
energy. It's not. That's not a physical craft. I'm sorry.
I know, and I
not.
I don't know if that's what me and Lilcomb filmed. I have no idea. It was really tough, but we'll take a look at that. So, all of you out there that if these videos and photos belong to you, thank you so much.
We appreciate
those are
it.
all linked in the description as well. I didn't want to release your names and try to do that, but we really appreciate you guys
I wonder if
popping
somebody
all
went
that.
out with a black light too, where they're thinking if you're seeing it spraying this stuff, could you see the chemical if there's something coming out, or could you?
So there was a conversation that I had with a farmer and a buddy that we grew up with, and he reported to me, didn't get video of it, but when he was out there, one was sitting underneath the moon, and the moonlight was shining down on this thing, and you could see spray, almost like a halo effect, where the moonlight was lighting up all of the spray. So it was just given a So here is the.
Well, we got somebody. If they want to give us information, they don't want to give us it on socials. They said physical or encrypted email.
Physical encrypted
So if they
email.
want to send us mail or email you,
Yeah.
that's food for thought. There, Skiff Dank. I'm with you, man. I
Yep.
get what you're saying. Or lady, I don't know who's
we can
on
get
the other end of
a
that. I'm gonna
proton
assume-
mail. A proton mail.
Whatever it
set
is.
up.
Even that can be. That proton mail is even compromised.
Yeah. What is it? Signal? Everything's supposed to.
I don't know.
WhatsApp, obviously.
I don't know.
But this is the Blackhawk. So this is a screen grab from a
Shut
radar
your
app.
face.
And
Really?
that's where it shows the Blackhawk
I
helicopter.
thought this was just eyeballed. I didn't know we had verification on a flight app. Holy
Yes.
shit.
Verification of not just the Blackhawk, but go ahead, Stoner, roll that next image.
That's interesting.
Also the C-17.
Nice.
Both confirmed Wow.
Well, right, Pat must have about shit its pants and said, scramble, scramble.
But it's weird that all this, when these things came into the area, everything not stopped. Just all the low,
flights.
all the low, and then they went up into elevation. So even Wednesday night when we were out trying to shoot stuff, there was no low flying like what we saw in that video earlier from the Facebook group. It all seemed to have moved way up in the atmosphere.
No, this happened Tuesday or Wednesday of last week.
This
week.
would have been Tuesday.
Last week.
This would have been Tuesday last week.
There we go.
And that was the 27th.
Oh, let's look here. We've got a news clip.
27th through the 28th. Yeah, so this is, we can cue this. Stone's got this queued up for us. This is a local news station. I think it's Channel 2. And this is an interview that they captured with Sheriff Doug Timmerman.
There you go.
But first, dozens of drone sightings in Mercer County were reported over the last 72 hours.
Local law enforcement say they don't know where the drones came from, but are working to find out as more calls continue to come in. 10 News reporter Aaliyah Seabrooks joins us from the Mercer County Sheriff's Office. She is digging deeper into the response from local law enforcement.
People in Mercer County want to know why there are drones flying over their properties, but local law enforcement investigating these reports say that they need federal help to address this issue.
We have many of our farmers out here that are terribly concerned about their properties.
In Mercer County, the sheriff's office says they began receiving calls last Friday about drones flying over private property. Now the department says they have received nearly 80 calls from around the county to report the sightings. Some saying there were multiple drones on their property at the same time.
I'm going to assume we were pushing nearly 75 drones at one point last night being reported in various locations around Mercer County.
The Mercer County Sheriff's Office says they have reached out to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, but have not been able to get any answers.
I'm completely disappointed in the Federal Aviation Administration. They are little to no help to us, and so that part's frustrating.
The sheriff's office says they are trying to work with state leaders to address the situation in Congress. They are also working with other nearby counties in Ohio and Indiana who have had similar reports of drone sightings. The sheriff's office says that people should continue to call and report drone sightings to local law enforcement, but add that you should never chase or follow a drone. In Mercer County, Aaliyah Seabrooks, 2 News.
There you go.
Back in December, drones were reported and in Wright-Patterson Air Force Base's airspace for at least 2 nights.
There you go. Official statement from Sheriff Doug Timmerman.
There you have it.
We also had the Congresswoman had to come out and release a statement. Just not a lot of help from the FAA, any government agency, the USDA, which we'll get into, an anonymous tip that I had a phone call with someone and transcribed that. I'm going to do my best to kind of retell that story of some just really odd things that have, even since I left the area, that have still unfolded after this. But next stop we have on the Drone Express is we're going to go through some of these anonymous phone interviews that I did when Chris was nice enough to get me in contact with some local farmers and local people in the area that had experienced this phenomenon. So we're going to go through our anonymous interview number 1, reported large groups of drones seen flying over in a formation in the area, and the drones were flying in a grid formation, similar to a military fleet. This gentleman has a military background, served in the military in the 90s, so he's very familiar, very credible, very familiar with sort of military operations and what that looks like flying over the sky. And they were shining white lights down to the ground, from what he said as well. So not sure if this is some kind of reconnaissance mission. Are they looking for something? Who knows? We can only speculate. But they didn't give off a heat signature. This gentleman had a thermal scope and was looking at through his thermal scope, and there was no heat signature. We had an image earlier you guys can check it out on the UAP drone Facebook group, where there was an image of somebody had shot a photo through one of thermal hunting scope, and sure enough, no heat signature. So if they're running off batteries, they're running off electricity, it's going to give off heat. If they're not being propelled by gas or electric, whatever it is, it's going to give off some heat. So the fact that there's no heat signature is very odd. And so he believed that they don't have a traditional propulsion system. From his time in the military and seeing craft fly in many different missions and different things, is it some advanced technology that's beyond lithium-ion batteries or electric motors? They can produce minimal heat, he said, but it would show up in the thermal scope that he has, which seemed to be a fairly advanced scope. And so that was our caller number one, or interview number two. So what he had seen was green and white flashing lights on the craft that he was looking at, and they were flying about 10. The craft that he was seeing was about 10 feet wide. The craft was estimated to be about 10 feet wide.
Okay.
It was about 100 feet in the air. He said it just looked like a drone, but very large. The lights reflected off the propellers. He got it so close that he could see the propellers of this, quadcopter or whatever this is. And then it just flew straight east. And then he said his cousin was seeing similar type things for about 2 weeks before he had his encounter. And then he heard about other sightings on Sunday afternoon. And then he said the next few days, everybody around the area, I think he was one of the people, and his cousin, you'll hear over and over again, well, so-and-so told me about this, and I just didn't believe him. I thought they were crazy until I said, well, I better look up in the sky and find out for myself. And sure enough, you had your own experience, and they became a believer. Wow, there is something going on here. This next interview is with a gentleman that I actually have known since I was a kid, and have known his family, for years. Again, very, very reliable sources here. People that don't have anything to gain. These are farmers living, a nice, quiet life out in Mercer County, and they're just concerned. They're worried. And again, he said he heard a lot of people talking about this, and then finally he was able to speak with his son, and his son had reported something. So he thought, well, my wife and I, we went outside to look for ourselves, and sure enough, we look up, and there's several of these craft, he said about 100 feet high, just stationary, just sitting right up there, hovering over the farm. And then he saw 4 to 5 more lights moving to the north and south, and then the stationary light disappeared. And he said that kind of reminded him of what he was seeing on the news in New Jersey, and, kind of mentioned, hey, this is happening in New Jersey, but it doesn't really affect us. And, you kind of discount it, or, if it doesn't affect your life, you kind of just move on. So a lot of the folks in the area.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Well,
I don't.
Well,
I've been paying attention to freaking drones since November. I don't. So I don't understand that point at all. I've been paying attention to this for decades.
Well, he was intrigued by New Jersey. Everybody was intrigued, and
more than just
saw
intrigued.
It. But once the news cycle kind of goes, and it's on the news, well,
that's where the problem lies already. If you're relying on a news cycle, you're already getting the worst news.
Well, you have work to do. You got kids. You got food to put on the table.
Just saying, it's out there and you can find it. It's always out there. This. Even in one of the podcasts I listened to today, they're like, what George Knapp was like, it's just overload. It's just
that's what it is. That's what
I'm saying though is like you're saying people no, it should there's more going on now than ever before. What do you mean?
But I think now
it's just like a bingo card now. They just keep hitting different notes of hey, this happened, that happened, this happened.
But I think now that these folks have experienced this, they're probably not gonna move on as quickly when these kind of stories pop up. You know what I mean?
I get it. But that's one of the things that's making it tough, though. Is it can't happen everywhere.
Everybody
it's wild that
has
it's even
lives.
happening. No, it's even wild.
People have things going on. They're not necessarily glued to the TV about something that's happening in New Jersey when you're hundreds of miles away. It pops up. Oh, that's interesting. Let me watch a few videos. They look it up. Wow, that's really wild. And we moved on from the New Jersey drone. It's not like we were sitting there after a month constantly
it's not still
checking.
Happening there. But it's been happening since then. And that's the whole thing. It's like, just because right now on like the cake wheel it hit your number, it's that cake wheel's still always spinning. So again, it's going on everywhere. But what I'm saying is, like, this is the whole concept of, like, if there are actual UFOs, aliens, ETs, or whatever, and people are like, it doesn't matter, I still have to go to work on Monday. Like, no,
I don't think he was saying it doesn't matter.
I'm saying I get that.
It's just,
I get that.
You're going to move on because it's only the news cycle is so rapid. You just said it yourself. We're constantly inundated with new news, new things happening. Anyways, let's move on. We're going to get stuck on this. So they also were out driving and saw 2 lights while driving. They initially dismissed them as airplanes, but now he believed they were drones as well. And then also, the neighbors all around all confirmed in the area that was happening. But the neighbor reported 20 to 30 drone clusters near chicken houses. And this just keeps popping up over and over again. And then, a quote that I'm going to pull out of here says he believed that there could be a potential connection with the bird flu breakout. And he said, it definitely has something to do with it. I shouldn't say that. Somebody will probably come down and arrest me for saying it. But how come that just happened so quickly? And now it's everywhere. All of a sudden, when you have these things appearing in the sky, now we have a massive outbreak of bird flu. Does it have something to do with these drones? And then he also mentioned Muncie, Indiana, where they were being filmed and captured as well. This is an interesting little piece here, and this is a call that I took once I got home, and this gentleman basically said, let me find it here, one moment.
Agreed.
So
Stuck in a 9 to 5, distracted and not looking up. Somebody's saying this is why people don't care.
But now it's not that they don't care. It's just now we know. Once you experience something, now people are going to be looking up
for
all over.
While.
Well, we'll see.
It is a distraction. That's a whole different episode even. But yes.
Yeah. So there was a little clip. One of the guys we interviewed, he called back and said that someone had instructed them within the Mercer County government or the sheriff's office to shoot down any drones they see flying over chicken houses and then turn them over to the sheriff. They were surprised and wondered who had given this instruction. They speculated that if someone was giving them permission to shoot the drones down, then someone must know what's happening or where they're coming from. They considered shooting down a drone to see who would come claim it. And then right after that, we got a text and said, nope, they pulled that. They redacted that statement. And now they're telling everybody within a few minutes, do not shoot down the drones. So really, really weird. And, one of another person that I talked to when I got back gave me a buzz on Thursday and said he spoke to a girl over at the FSA office who had been working there for a couple years, and her boss was overseeing a loan that they were looking at, and just to make sure they were doing everything correctly. And they mentioned the area and the livestock, if they had seen any drones around livestock or anybody in the office had reported anything. And she laughed and said the USDA had issued a statement to tell the farmers not to shoot the drones because they belong to PETA, the animal rights activists. The USDA
there you go.
Is telling that.
Solved. Done. Moving on. Next episode. No one cares anymore. Sweet. So, we solved drones. Everybody in the chat.
So what did I do?
Blame PETA.
I called PETA after they have a media department, and I called PETA.
They're not going to tell you that they're
and
theirs.
I left a message.
They're Carol Baskins.
Well, I just wanted to say, hey, did you guys know that the USDA is telling people that in Mercer County, you're flying large drones in the hundreds over top of for the last 3 nights, and that they're yours? No one ever called me back. I didn't expect to call back, but I thought it'd be
they're not going to
interesting
tell you that they're their drones, but we know now. It's PETA. It's solved.
And so he was surprised that there was an official statement, and she would not give him a copy of that statement. She said it was a directive that they were supposed to tell farmers who asked about the drones, and then was shocked that the government was saying this, especially since no one has been appointed to run the USDA. Trump's administration just started. They haven't appointed anybody in that. So who is giving directives from the USDA to the Mercer County Sheriff's Department and the FSA of Mercer County.
Same person that was giving them to Biden?
I don't And so
shadow puppet? I don't know. I'm just
and
who knows?
She confirmed that this came directly from Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
To every FSA office.
I don't even know what
Ohio.
FSA is.
It's the farmers. Oh, I had it written down here somewhere.
I don't know if this is an acronym everybody's familiar with, or is this just me? But I would say regionally. Food and safety?
Nope, it's.
That can't be.
I don't think it's that. Somebody in the chat would probably be able to tell us. 1 second.
Farm Service Agency.
There you go. Farm Service Agency.
Well, that makes a lot of sense
I had
for
it
back
written down
home.
here.
I just didn't grow up on a farm. I used to bale a lot of hay and stuff, but
we baled a lot of hay.
Thank you, Lacrimal. We appreciate that.
Yeah, appreciate you. So there you go. Official statement from the USDA.
It's PETA.
It's PETA, everybody. Nothing to see here. And then this is another real quick interview that I did.
I'll say this. If it is PETA, good for you for some big ball energy of buying some sweet drones.
Yeah.
I doubt it because you're not. Well, I don't think you're that crafty.
Right.
But, I think this is going to be my new phrase going forward. Fiction is fact.
Yep.
And what do I mean by that? Fiction is going to be fact.
Yeah.
All this crap, all these drones, all this, that, whatever, electrogravitic, 0 point. It's.
Yep.
If we don't know how it's flying, you're saying you can't get a heat signature off of it with this thermal, the camera, whatever, all. What's going on there? Okay, so we have a technology beyond what we even know how to interpret, and we got people that know how to use certain devices to see it. So, okay, the cat's got to be kind of out of the bag in a lot of ways right now. More so than ever.
More so than ever, dude.
More so than
2
ever.
years ago on this show, we were blown away. Even 2 years ago when they had a hearing in front of Congress. And then this year they had another.
This is even more egregious.
Oh, I know, but
this is more egregious. And even to the Immaculate Constellation hearing.
I'm just going back to that and how.
But even with that,
stepped
that was
up more and
walked
more.
through in a different way.
Yeah.
Because I listened to the Corbell and Knapp interview talking about that hearing.
Yeah.
And how it got coerced a little bit.
Sure.
They weren't real happy about that.
Yeah, you could tell.
They weren't happy about that.
No, and they shouldn't.
So, yeah, I agree with David. Someone or something is playing us.
We're being played.
Sure.
The reports, there were, this is not verified by any means, but just a lot of people I was talking to on the phone, multiple people said there were reports of semis with open air shipping containers driving around the area with no top on top of the shipping
That's what somebody said in the chat earlier.
So there you go.
Yeah.
And so are these shipping containers, China owns a lot of our ports. There's a lot of interest in our ports. So is there somebody
like the Fast and the Hurdiest? Is somebody going to come out and steal all the cows in Mercer County with Vin Diesel's just going to start bench pressing them onto the truck?
Here's the thing. We may have in Mercer and Darke County, I mean, I don't know what the number is now, but when I left, there was already 4 to 6 million birds had been euthanized to try to tamper. Is it 10 million now? Is it 12 million now?
I was trying to explain that to someone, and I was like, just imagine a million of anything. Like if you had a million cans of Coca-Cola, if you had a million Swedish fish right now, a million of anything, that's a lot of something.
One farm had a million just in their one location that were reported on Wednesday that they were confirmed of having a bird flu outbreak. And then turkey farms the next day. The day before that, a big farm in Darke County, which is
get it. I'm just saying the number when people were like, oh, okay. I'm like, I don't think you truly understand a million of anything.
Put $1 million up on this and stack it up on this table right here. It's pretty wild what $1 million looks like.
This is what I'm saying. Now put that into a pile of birds. It's a shit ton of birds. So it's not insignificant.
We smelled it. When we were driving around Wednesday, you could smell the death. You could smell the
12 million is the updated number.
12 million.
12
Holy cow.
million. Sweet baby Jesus. Is that a lot
That's
of
unreal. Yeah. So there you go. Number 1 and number 2, Darke and Mercer County in Ohio for egg production. You're going to start seeing.
I'm getting me a chicken.
Massive. I've been wanting it. In my neighborhood, it is legal.
I don't know if it is in my neighborhood. We don't
Maybe not
technically
yours.
have grass.
Well, it would be tough at your place.
What if we brought him inside? I could have my little Jerry.
My neighborhood's got a chicken coop. I could turn my kid's treehouse into a chicken coop, put a little ramp up there.
It smelled like dead. Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
I can't,
it was bad. It was
the
real
aroma
bad.
back there, a lot of times, depending on what's going on, and I'm not trying to be mean. I get it. I understand. You got
We're not used to
fertilized
it.
and whatever.
We're not used to
I
it
still get
anymore.
it.
Yeah.
But dead stuff, when you smell roadkill, when you smell dead animal, that is messed up. And I can't imagine what that's like. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. I wonder, is that dangerous in any way? Is this avian flu? And I'm not trying to be that person, but it's not jumping at people yet, is it?
There has been in April. So one of the articles that we're going to cover, I don't know if we'll get down all the way, but in April of 2024 was the first case of bird flu in the U.S. And then shortly after that, a human being died of bird flu.
Wow.
They're hopping to cattle. And by the way, everybody's sick right now. Everybody's sick back home.
Not me. I got sicker than a dog over Christmas, so I deserve to not be sick right now.
I came home from Mercer County on Thursday.
Krusty the Clown at
Wednesday in my
Scratchy
hotel.
Land.
I had a scratchy throat. We were out all night running around. I had a scratchy throat, felt sick, and then Thursday I went to Walmart, or Wednesday in Walmart in Wapak, got a bunch of vitamins, started popping vitamins, and then I came home, and I think I might have got my kids sick because they were both sick over the weekend.
Sounds about right.
So, I had a buddy from Colorado that said there's Blackhawks in his area, there's drone activity in Colorado, and everybody's sick in Colorado. He's coming back to Ohio to get away from all of it. And I go, dude, you're coming into an area where everybody's sick here. All the same stuff's happening there is happening here.
Yeah.
So, this last caller, anonymous caller, appreciate this guy as well. He observed drones with vapor trails flying in patterns over Mercer County. The participant's buddy also saw huge drones behind his house. They discussed the drones in relation to the bird flu outbreak in the area and the presence of these drones. The participant believes that the government is unlikely to reveal the truth about the drones, obviously. And, he's heard all of his neighbors and other people reporting spraying coming from the drones. And his neighbor used a thermal camera as well to search for the drones, but didn't seem to give off a heat signature. Once again, this comes up over and over again. But in his mind, it's mainly the large swarms are concentrated over large poultry farms, where, like Michael was saying, the 15 to 20, this guy from before saw a formation of 50 out in his field. Unbelievable. I'm just shocked. Like, I don't know what to think about it. And the fact that this happened in our hometown, our area.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying. It doesn't seem
we couldn't fly to New Jersey, but I sure scooted back to Mercer County as quickly as I could.
The whole phenomenon of like main character syndrome, where people are like, oh, you think you're the main character in the movie. Like, no. But yeah, at times I almost do get that like Truman Show type feeling where you're like, is the universe just screwing with me?
It's a movie. We're living in a movie.
Because really, like, again, I've described our hometown, again, when I grew up, and there weren't any houses even across the street. There was basically nobody in sight.
Everywhere now, yeah.
It was like Little House on the Prairie. Like I joke, like, hey, if you had a bicycle, great. You weren't going anywhere. If you had a moped, maybe you'd get a house or two down the street. But you weren't getting anywhere. I rode my bike one time to Chickasaw.
I remember that.
That was the worst idea ever.
Terrible.
That was
no sidewalks.
Logistically speaking, was
terrible.
Nearly a death trap.
Semis flying by on 219 or 274.
Thinking about Pet Cemetery. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna queue up a couple articles here. We've got an article from January 29th, the Columbus Dispatch. Bob, I'm gonna have you read this. You're just better for whatever reason. When we go live, I just can't read anymore. So,
what are we talking about here? Bird flu and egg prices?
Yeah. So this is a Columbus Dispatch article.
I mean, isn't that kind of like a given? It's going to raise egg prices.
Ohio leads bird flu cases. What will happen with egg prices? Can you raise your own chickens? But they talk a little bit about Darke, Mercer County, and most of their information, it seems, they got from the Dayton Daily News. So we'll just read off a little bit, and then we have one more article from NPR that kind of talks about the larger nationwide bird flu issue happening right now.
So yeah, this is just talking about bird flu. Can you raise your own chickens? The H5N1 strain of avian flu among the deadliest forms, according to the Associated Press. I'm just going to go out on a limb here as well, though, and say and I'm not trying to be a non-alarmist as well, but I don't know about a lot of this stuff anymore. This is bad. This form of flu, that things are
well,
sorry.
COVID woke up a lot of people to that kind of tomfoolery.
Like, sorry, I'm not
it's
going.
Hard to trust.
I'm not going full like.
No.
Throw myself in a bubble just yet.
No.
How many chickens have bird flu? Millions, sick at 16 locations in Ohio, and this is from a couple days ago. 4.1 million chickens at 16 facilities in Darke and Mercer County. In Darke, they have highly pathogenic avian influenza cases at 4 facilities. 1.4 million egg-laying birds, 48,000 turkeys since December, and since January 9th, nearly 1.5 million cases reported. Yeah, it's a lot of animals. I mean, I don't think the numbers do it justice because now we're kind of at a fraction, like a tenth of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to consume eggs that are properly handled? Will bird flu affect your egg prices? Yeah.
Already is.
It's going to have to. Like, again, that's just simple math.
Yeah.
Can you raise your own? Sure. I'm sure you can. You got to get a permit. So that's interesting. I wonder why you need a permit to raise chickens.
Depends where you're at. In Columbus, you do.
Really?
Yeah. My neighbor has one. I talked to him about it.
He's got permits for everything anymore.
Now, I will say, one of our buddies back home that turned me on to Chris's Facebook group had mentioned that he started shooting video and photos on January 9th. But his neighbor next door down the road reported since December 17th. He wasn't filming them or anything like that. So this was happening before this big wave last week. This was leading up to it.
What are you trying to say?
And that's when the initial bird flu cases started breaking out. It's just the drones were spotted right at the same time from the early cases of bird flu in the area.
So are you saying the drones brought the bird flu? The drones are monitoring the bird flu?
I'm not saying that. My initial thought was that there was a monitoring operation, that they were outfitted with some kind of sensors or were, monitoring the air quality or trying to just gauge. But when you have all these reports...
Why not New Jersey and all that too? They have farms out there.
I think this is a different thing. I think this is a little bit different in some ways. Jersey, it seemed like they were scanning
now you think
ground.
This is 2 different types of drones?
Maybe not types of drones, just different operation. It could be a different operation.
What do you think they were looking for in Jersey?
Well, the report was, the theory was
That's
that there
not
was...
real, though.
I don't think it is either.
The guy that, maybe he was just a shill.
Yeah, the nuclear stuff. I don't think anybody knows.
The dude that said that's what his job is, that did an interview, was like, no.
Yeah.
There's not people out looking for this right now. We don't have nuclear material.
Right. And that guy's super credible.
Yeah. And that's why I was like, okay.
But that was the only thing that somebody had an explanation of what they were looking for. Why were they scanning the ground?
That might be. But do you know, I say this all the time when we do shows. I'm like, it's just a theory.
Yeah.
Every Tom, Dick, and Harry's got a theory, and we can't run with any of them. Like, that's why I'm like, I'm the same with a lot of people in the chat and watching the show. I want information just like you do. I don't feel like we ever get it. And I hesitate to offer up a lot of times. I'll throw out theories or a correlation maybe, but I don't run with anything.
I'm not running with anything. I'm just saying it's correlating with the first bird flu cases.
That's what I was
asking.
Area, yeah.
Going back to December, where my buddy's neighbor was seeing
but all the way
these
back to
things
December, do you think it would take that long for these things to start dying too? Do you know how fast that flu kicks in?
Well, initially...
It wouldn't take that long to spread at all.
I think it builds up, right? Like it ramped up. Now there's just boom. It just everywhere all of a sudden.
Not necessarily. You just have to have one chicken with it. Your whole flock doesn't have to be sick. If you have one bird out of 1 million, they all die.
Yeah.
That's the weirder part too. Well, not weird, but again, the contagiousness of it between the livestock is what's really tough.
Well, Stoner mentioned that the bald eagle cam over Indian Lake, the bald eagles are dead.
I believe it.
They got bird flu.
Why
Ridiculous.
not? We just got them back. Let's go ahead and just kill them off again already. We're just playing.
Man.
We're just playing. What's it called? Minecraft.
We don't have to go through this article. This is just kind of a national bird flu article. But if you want to hop on it, we can.
I mean, again, this is just. I think we're kind of.
We don't need
rehashing.
We're rehashing a little bit.
Number of birds, and it's super sad. I mean, again, like, we're not talking about like, oh, they lost 100,000 birds or 400,000 birds. We're saying millions and millions at a time because unfortunately, you have some people that'll probably say too, like, oh, good, I don't like all this factory farming, etc. I can say whatever. I can get behind you on that, but you know what?
Gotta feed people.
You also have to have food, right? Like, we can't just overnight say, hey, you know what? We don't like doing it this way. And I'm all for alternative ways of how you want to get it, but this is a big deal. It is a big problem.
Yeah.
It will affect prices of goods and services. And eggs aren't just buying eggs off the shelf. Other products that take eggs to make them.
No doubt. Cake mixes,
so your pastas,
mix,
whatever, it's going to be widespread. So I don't know what to say anymore. Because
we got one more. We got a little soundbite from our buddy Mercer County Commissioner Dave Busher. We actually grew up running around with Dave. I didn't even know he was the county commissioner. Shout out to Busher for giving this awesome interview with 98.9 The Answer. This is the Windsor Report. It's a radio show. They're also on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere else you get podcasts. We're just going to listen to a couple clips from our buddy Dave.
Do it up.
And let people know what's going on. I couldn't think of a better way to get the inside scoop on this than to have our next guest. He's a new friend now of the show. His name is Dave Busher, Mercer County Commissioner. Dave, welcome into the Windsor Report. How's your Wednesday?
I tell you what, it's been a long week for just a Wednesday. I appreciate you having me on tonight. This drone news definitely has been a hot topic for Darke Mercer County. I think whenever we watched it on the national news that was happening in New Jersey, it's kind of like, well, that seems surreal. Yeah. When it happens in West Central Ohio, an area that we always refer to as God country.
Yeah.
You look up and there's a church steeple every 2 miles when you go down 119. And then every night here lately, when dusk comes in, you watch drones come in. Wow. It's a surreal experience. For a while there, I think the few people, this has been going on for a little bit.
How long would you estimate, Dave? How long would you estimate? Days, weeks?
So, the first person I ever knew that seen one that chased one was back before Veterans Day. It was my neighbor.
Okay.
And he told me about it. Actually, he called one of the fellow commissioners and said, "Hey, has anybody called in and complained about drones?" And the fellow commissioner of mine, he took the call and he said, no one's complained. And he got off the phone call and I said, who was that? And he told me who it was. And he said he was complaining about drones over his house. And I went, oh my God, that's my neighbor. I seen that drone. I just didn't know it was a drone. I was sitting in the hot tub relaxing and watched a drone. At the time, I don't even know what I thought it was at the time. I mean, I watched it move across the sky and freeze. I watched a second one move across the sky and freeze.
All right, Steph, we can go on to the next little clip there.
From, the Maria Stein area and chased all over the Eldora Speedway, both of them, and lost them somewhere over in northern Darke County. And that was all the way back before.
In fact, turnaround time on those questions to be faster under this administration than it was under the prior. But one of the rumors I've heard, and this could be false, so I'll ask you directly since you're there in Mercer County, is that in that area is one of the country's largest turkey farms. Another is one of the largest egg farms, and that there have been several drone sightings over those areas. And that is giving people some anxiety because they're going, well, wait a minute. What if these are bad actors, and what are they doing to these animals? Is that a concern?
Well, yeah. I mean, anybody that's followed national news enough knows that they call it high-path avian influenza. So high-path avian influenza has been around for years. It's been a fairly hot topic since 2015, where it decimated Iowa's poultry facilities. Currently, I don't know if there's a handful of solid live farms in California. Some farms in Iowa broke twice in the last 12 months. Ohio's, we've had it. We've always been fairly insulated from it, though. I mean, I think the last 3 years we've had at least some activity, but very minimal. Maybe gave us, false hope.
Been around for that long. I didn't know that.
The buttons that I
didn't know
push.
we had bird flu
we're
like
not.
that
We're a county. Mercer County, county of a population of 42,000. Mercer and Darke, you were talking earlier about the high population of poultry. we rank number 1 and number 2, depending on who you talk to. If you talk to a Darke County commissioner, they're going to tell you they're number 1. You talk to Mercer County, we're going to tell you we're number 1 in agricultural products. So we rank number 1 and 2 in the state for being ag leaders. And we've always been proud of ourselves in that. We also rank the state in lowest unemployment. I think we just took first place back from Holmes County again. We're terribly proud people. We're hardworking. We're generational farmers.
That's cool stuff. We can move on to that
and
next
it's just
bit.
an amazing area to grow up, to live and raise your kids. It's
Man,
just
the chat
wonderful.
is popping off tonight, buddy.
Wow.
I had a conversation today, and I said, and I understand, like, Trump just got in. We're all extremely excited about it, but I understand, he's got his cabinet in, but they're not been confirmed. So a lot of these agencies, even though they got, he's picked a new cabinet, they're not confirmed. So things are still status quo until Congress gets the confirmations done. But I asked on a phone call today, I said, well, where's Kristi Noem's in this, Homeland Security? Well, why you need Homeland Security? And I said, well, we had 4 years of an unsecured southern border underneath Biden. If FAA can't tell me whose drones these are, and nobody else seems to know, then how do we know they're not some sort of bad foreign adversary that is now, taking aim at Ohio's heartland of agricultural product? You're talking about eggs. Everybody's been talking about egg prices, what they are at the market.
All right, cool.
I don't know if there's an actual another clip, because every time you keep saying go to the next clip, I don't know what your
they
next
need to
clip
get out
is.
and
It's not a clip,
investigate.
it's
Just
just
get
a
out
clip
in
or
front
just
of
a
it
section
and at
within
least
this?
let us
Sections.
know in our
That's why
county.
I'm
We got
confused as
enough
hell, 'cause I'm
things
like,
to
I don't
worry
know what's
about
going on.
with the current state of
all good
bird
there,
flu
Stone. We
movement.
can hit pause. Yeah, we're going out on a limb there a little bit. I'm speculating, but and Dave's just speculating as well. I just thought it was interesting that, he went out on a limb and made that statement, and did a great job with that interview. But that is the concern, I think, overall for all the farmers is, what is happening? This all is coinciding, and the more that people aren't given information, the more they're going to speculate, right? And it's just,
that's what they'll want.
Yeah.
The more they don't tell you, the more you can just make up your own minds and get lost in it, and then they just don't tell you anything. Mm-hmm. That's the way you win. You just don't say anything.
Yeah, what did
Remember
everybody...
full-fledged denial? Yeah. They're not even denying. You don't even deny. You just
said,
don't say anything.
Deny.
Don't say anything. You just deny it.
Wow, what an episode.
Yeah.
Guys, you rule. Everybody out there that's new to the show, we appreciate each and every one of you. All of our regulars, you guys are the best. You're here with us every single week. Everybody that's listening, we appreciate you. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're kind of all over the place with our episodes. We do a lot of different things, but we've really been covering, if you guys are interested in the UAP phenomenon, all the congressional hearings, and all the weird things about non-human intelligence. We've been covering this pretty solid for the last couple of years. So if the drone situation in Mercer and Darke County has kind of opened your eyes up to other potentials and different ideas, we could be a great place. We have a good time. We're definitely not experts. We definitely speculate. And we'll continue to bring the heat. Bub, any final thoughts?
Nope.
All right, we're going to sign
Solid.
off here. Rolo's ready to go. He knows it's time to end. We want to thank Chris. We want to thank Michael from Homegrown Tones. And Rolo, much love. We're out. Take care, y'all.
Later.
Drop that beat.
It started at sundown, a quiet evening sky. The roosters crowed and the clouds
Chickens over the
drifted
coop.
by. Then a hum grew louder, blinking lights in the sky. A fleet of buzzing drones flying in perfect form. Old Farmer Joe dropped his beer with a scream, said they've come for the chickens, or maybe just my dreams. Out came the shotguns, pistols, and the town. The battle had begun to shoot those devils down. Drones over the coop like vultures in the air, spying on our chickens spreading panic everywhere. Grab your rifles, grab your pride, they're circling above. It's man versus machine in this farmyard fight. Ethel lit the fireworks, said we'll scare 'em good, while Hank was in the pickup, revving where he stood. Kids with slingshots launched marbles to the sky, determined to protect the hens from an airborne spy. But the drones kept weaving, their cameras blinking red, while Farmer Joe cried, it's a plot to steal our eggs. One drone came down, crashing in the hay, and the crowd cheered, that's one way to save the day. Drones over the coop, like vultures in the air, spying on our chickens, spreading panic everywhere. Grab your rifles, grab your pride, they're circling above. It's man versus machine in this farmyard fight. The cows were stampeding, the pigs ran to hide, chickens squawked in terror as chaos hit the skies.
Okay, guys, if you're still with us, I did actually forget to play some of the clips and just kill that audio, Kyle. I'm hearing the chicken song. Yep. Hey, if you guys are still with us, I did forget. I actually had some clips that I captured that we're just going to go back and review real quick. Pretty interesting. Again, not real sure what this is. Yes, bonus footage, Born Not to Run. You got it right there. But also that was an AI generated song. So here we go. This is what we filmed on the way from Wapak to St. Mary's, where I pulled over in the Marathon gas station. And it was really tough to film because I think at this point it was flying away from me. And you can kind of hear me cursing. But finding focus with the 200x zoom lens with a little Panasonic camcorder, and right there you kind of get it in focus, but I thought my zoom, yeah. And then you'll see it just kind of blink out. Gone. And there it just disappeared. So after that clip, we packed up the camera, we tossed it into, here's that on 20% speed, slowed down, and you can sort of see it shifting into, I'm not sure exactly what's going on, whatever you would call that, kind of moving from one side to the other. But that's the spot where I could actually find the focus. And as soon as we got in the truck, threw the camera in, boom, it came back and I could see it once again outside the window. So we hopped in the car and we started driving. That's when we ended all the way out in Erastus Durbin Road. And eventually it went down over the horizon and we lost it. But we tracked this thing for miles. I'm talking outside of, so this I actually filmed in Chris's driveway. And this is what we thought was a star. I got out the star map. And it sat there. So I took the FS7 cinema camera and I put it right in the middle of the square. So this is on 500x speed and it's at 400 digital zoom where we cropped in. I shot this in 4K. And if it's a star, it shouldn't be moving anywhere, but I had it right in the center of the viewfinder. And when we came back, it was out of frame. So we brought it back into our editing software here today. And this thing was moving down in the sky. Again, not sure, but, in that small frame of time, if it was a star, it wouldn't have dropped in the sky like that, I don't believe. And it would have shown up on a star map. So, we've heard some theories about these larger ones that are up in the sky. Is there some kind of mothership? A lot of speculation about that, but interesting that was, and then Stone, if you have those photos of those screen grabs that we got, and this is just some screen grabs that I grabbed from the video that we just saw. We can kind of progress through those where the lights seem to go from one side to the other of this craft I'm not sure exactly what to call it. But then it kind of blinks here and goes back to the other side. And that's basically when we lost this thing. And like I said, when I put the camera in the truck, boom, it reappeared, and we chased it for probably another 15 to 20 miles. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. If you're still with us, appreciate it so much. We will outro the show. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We're out.